Playeragent3, another episode. My next guest is Mr. Wade Harris. He's the Director of Player Development and Managing Partner of the Raleigh Firebirds. How you doing, bro?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm glad you could join me.
Well, thank you for having me.
Cool, man. So what I want to do, man, is I want to talk to you about the Raleigh Firebirds because it's pretty much a new thing, especially around here in Raleigh. So can you talk about the history of the Raleigh Firebirds and how this whole thing came into play?
Yeah, sure. Well, I started working with basketball players, young basketball players coming out of college about 5 or 6 years ago. I had a kid come out of Fayetteville State, and he was a undersized big man and really oversized guard. He was never going to play professional basketball at 6'5", 240 pounds, and being a forward. So we transitioned him to a guard, and he's been playing for 5 years in either the NBA G League or over in the NBL Canada.
Okay.
From there, I created a relationship with who was then the commissioner of the NBL Canada, David Magley.
Okay. I know David.
Yeah, so then fast forward a couple of years after getting a few players set to go there and play, he came back to the United States and started this new league called the TBL.
Okay.
They played their first year, 2018, with 8 teams, and then in 2019 we had our inaugural season. We played with 10 teams in the league. We started last year with a group of guys at our combine, just like we did this year. We had about 49 guys show up. We cut that down to about 27, and we had those guys come all throughout the summer. And we gradually whittled the roster down.
Okay.
What excited us about getting involved with the league was really its community focus and how much they encouraged each team. Almost, I won't say demanded, but part of the standard is that each team have a good, strong, strategic plan of connecting with the community. And our plan, is to promote STEM education to the youth, especially those underserved population in Wake County.
Okay. Now when you say the TBL, for some, a lot of people probably don't know what the TBL stands for. What I want to ask you is the Raleigh Firebirds. Would you consider that to be semi-pro, or is it professional? Like on the same level as teams in Europe or the teams in NBL Canada.
Okay, so in terms of where I would place the teams in the TBL, which stands for the Basketball League,
okay,
about as simple as it can get. But I would consider the TBL to be like AA baseball.
Okay.
In that
like a farm league situation.
It's a development team. It's guys that's sort of fell through the cracks, getting a second opportunity to display their talent, or they just came out of high school and out of college and didn't get picked up to play professionally. This gives them a chance to still showcase their talent and get some film, make a little money. It's really, this league isn't really as much about the money for the players as it is about the exposure and the opportunity.
Okay.
But they also get paid and get to travel some. The travel's not first class with airplanes and the whole 9 yards, but they make some commitments and sacrifices, and the team and the league is just we're developed to serve that niche of a player who didn't get that shot out of college.
What would you say this league is comparable to? If you could think of any other leagues out there. I mean, like I said, you have the league in Canada. You have the league where the Carey Invasion. I don't know if that's still in existence. And then you have the ABA leagues around the country. What would you say the Raleigh Firebirds or the TBL is comparable to?
I really think that the TBL, if you look at the hierarchy from the NBA to the NBA G League, I think the TBL is that next tier under the NBA G League in terms of talent.
Okay.
Guys, a lot of those guys that are in this league played at a high level in college. They didn't play at the Dukes and Carolinas, but they led their teams in a number of stats. Some of them have overseas experience already, but didn't get a job. So this is a chance for them to keep playing, because teams, when they're looking for players, they always want to know where you played last. And if you didn't have somewhere to play last year, it puts a gap in your resume. So this league kind of fulfills that
Okay. Are you able to talk about salary ranges?
Yeah, I am. The salary ranges for the league this year, well, I say this year, but for the
Okay.
previous season was between 1,500 and 5,000 per month.
Wow.
We played a 32 game season.
Mhm.
We played 16 games on the road and 16 home games, and then there was the top 4 teams went on to play the playoffs. Which, fortunately, our first year we did make the playoffs. So
Okay. All right. That's pretty good. I
yeah,
mean, there's a lot of situations in Europe where guys don't make that much
yeah,
money. So
it's true.
that's really good. Now, do you guys have a connection, or is there a relationship with teams in Europe, that know about you guys? Kind of like a funneling system where a lot of coaches in Europe will come and look at you guys or look at the league to try to find players.
Yes. Well, what the league is finding is more and more agents are coming to the league looking for talent, unsigned talent. And because they have access to film, and we live stream all the games on the league's website. You can always go back and look at those games. The stats are done live. So really, quality presentation as far as that part. It makes it easy for teams to access player information, for agents to be able to find players. And the goal of the league is really to help the player get the next best job. So,
Right.
They're going to do everything they can. We had, I think, about 16 players this past season that left and went on to better jobs. And we, in fact, had 2 players from our team. During the course of our season, we lost our point guard. He went to Mexico.
Okay.
And we lost one of our best forwards, Darius Leonard. He went to Argentina.
Okay.
So, that's the focus for the league is to create a high-level product on the floor so that those players can also get a chance to expand their career.
Okay. Is there a model per se for success? Did you guys look at any leagues in particular, i.e. the ABA or the I think it's the TRBL with the carry invasion?
Yes.
Did you guys look at different leagues to figure out what to do and what not to do to be successful?
Well, the league itself, has a good footprint with, Coach Magley being so involved in the NBL Canada. So I think that, initially that's part of the model in terms of the foundation. But then each team is sort of challenged to, figure out what's going to be the best way for them to operate, who they want to look at as a model for success. For us, last year, we went around to a lot of NBA G League games and actually went as spectators and kind of looked at how they did things and what they're, some of what you don't really think about when you go to a basketball game, in terms of the game day operations. But, we learned a lot from those games that we went to. So I'd say that we were trying to create a field that would be somewhere between college basketball and professional basketball, somewhere in the middle. Where there's that college feel in terms of enthusiasm and excitement, but the presentation is more like the pros when they do, different little games. They do it, in between timeouts and things like that.
Okay. So what's your selling point if I'm a player and I'm trying to get overseas, or I'm trying to get to the G League, and I'm knocking at your door? I mean, what can you tell me to make me feel comfortable about the TBL or the Raleigh Firebirds?
Well, I can say I think about both the Raleigh Firebirds and the TBL. We're going to always do what's best for the player. We always our goal and the motto from the very foundation of the league, and what again excited me about being a part of it was about the players first. If there's an opportunity for a player to go somewhere and play, and there's not a clause in his contract that has to be bought out, or he doesn't have to do anything like that. He's free to go if he gets a better job. The only stipulations there are with the league is players can't just interchange from team to team within the league, which obviously makes sense. But if a player gets a job in Argentina or Mexico or China, we're going to support that. We're going to promote that, because then we think that other players will look at this league and say, guys are getting jobs out of that league. So it's it has a lot of validity, and they're going to be wanting more to come. The other thing is how I think every team treats their players. We have a closer relationship with the players than you would, say, an NBA owner and the players. Like in my case, a lot of the local players I've known for 5 or 6 years, they ended up being a part of our team, which was sort of a miracle within itself.
Okay.
And so we have a personal relationship. We know a lot of things about each other. So, we're always willing to go that extra mile for each other that you might not be if, you don't know a person.
Right. Okay.
And so that personal relationship that the teams are able to create, because of having probably 85% of their team being made up of local talent, it also saves from a budgetary standpoint, because those players can stay at home and, you don't have to pay for housing for them. And, that helps to allow the team to be more profitable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ultimately at some point we want to be profitable. So, so that, those are some of the goals that we have that I think would inspire a young man to want to come here. We get a lot of calls and texts and emails, and when I'm not bragging, but just fortunately for us, from players that want to come here, be a part of our team, that just want to come try out for the team. Like I said, we just had our combine. We had 25 players here on Saturday. We liked about 13 of those guys that we want to bring out throughout the rest of the summer and take a closer look at them, and then be prepared to go to our training camp with about 20 guys.
Okay. All right. Robert Brickey, a former Duke standout player.
Yes.
He's actually from Fayetteville.
Yes, he is.
How did you guys sell him on this opportunity? I mean, I don't know how he became the head coach, but how did that whole thing play out? Being that he was a big guy at Duke. So how did that whole thing play out?
Well, I mean, really, I feel like it was the first thing that we felt like we needed to do was to secure a name for our head coach. Is somebody that we thought could handle building a new franchise, that had a strong pedigree. You can't get any better than playing for Coach K.
Right.
And playing for Duke. He played professionally. He's well known in this community, has a strong reputation, which is what we wanted to build for our team. And so, again, it goes back to that foundation. I think that he was the foundation for allowing us to have the success that we had the first year.
Okay.
You could say in talking to sponsors, Robert Brickey is the head coach of our team, and you get a different you get a different feel than you say Wade Harris is the head coach of the team. Yeah. Because they don't know who Wade Harris is.
He brings credibility.
He does.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what would you say? Okay. What would you say to the naysayers that says the TBL or the Raleigh Firebirds that it isn't credible or the competition isn't good? I mean, what would you say to those people?
Well, I would tell them to go and look at the list of players that played in the TBL in the first year, 2018. About 17 of those players went on to play for bigger contracts and put up good numbers. I know a good 7 or 8 of them played at the NBL Canada, which is a higher league than the TBL.
Right.
So that to me is proof positive. And then I would tell them to also go again this year and look at the number of players that got called up. More players got called up during the season this year than did last year. But last year, a lot of players got jobs after the season. So we're still waiting to see how many of the players this year that were a part of the TBL are still going to land jobs, because we're early in the signing, season for players to get jobs to go overseas.
Okay.
So you wait early for the NBA G League. They don't really even start their open tryouts until late August.
Yeah.
A lot of guys are going to go out to Vegas in July that were on our team. We had 2 kids leave at the end of the year and go to Africa. That's an opportunity they would not have had if they hadn't been a part of the Firebird, team organization and the TBL. So, I think it has a lot of promise. I think a person that understands basketball and understands business would look at the TBL and look at the Firebirds and think that, it's a viable opportunity. And it provides a great opportunity to the community to have affordable, entertaining, professional basketball.
Well, in saying that, how has the community support been?
It's been great. Last year we hosted 16 I call them home events. And, they stretched from, having a college day where we had invited out all the local universities and colleges and even a couple of junior colleges. And their admissions office came out and set up and talked to the students from the Wake County Public School System that we invited for that game. We had a first responders game where we, showed our appreciation to our local first responders. We did some health awareness games where we talked about autism and mental health and, heart health, those issues that a lot of our citizens are faced with. We think we brought some awareness to those things. And, and so, I think that the community came together very well. We had a game where we called Good Sunday. We invited out the local church community, and they came out and brought their youth, and, we were able to introduce them to a STEM education as a possibility.
Okay.
And so, I think next year we'll be able to build on that. We've looked at some things that we did this year with, how we promoted the games, and we could have done a little differently. And we've made some of those adjustments. And, in our planning for next year, I think we're moving in the right direction.
Okay. Now you've brought up this word a couple of times, STEM. Can you talk about that program?
Sure.
And what you guys are doing in the community? I follow you guys on social media, and I see that you guys are doing a lot in the community. Can you talk a little bit more about the STEM program?
Sure. Well, we didn't want to do one more anti-bullying campaign or stay off drugs or, don't drop out of school, which we stand for all of those things, and those things are important. But we wanted to come up with a slogan and a strategy and a focus that we felt could really impact the community.
Okay.
But that we could also quantify, meaning that over time we could see what that impact is.
Yeah.
And, so we settled on STEM education, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And, this is a huge STEM community, the Research Triangle Park being here. We were able to partner with some companies and corporations that are STEM companies. They have a community outreach program, and, it aligned with, some of our goals. So that allowed us to be able to expose some of our youth to those companies, and those companies to be able to have access to kids in our community. We went over to Wake Tech and developed a good relationship with Wake Tech, and they have an incredible STEM program there.
Okay.
They have a program, STEM for Girls, and so that's something that we promoted at our games because that's also an underserved, population.
Right.
And also, we looked at the fact that when we look at the jobs in the triangle, the highest number of jobs that are vacant with the least number of people to fill them are STEM jobs. Okay. And so if a kid gets a STEM education, there's a good chance that he's going to get a job pretty quickly.
Right.
And so we want to be a part of impacting that part of our community as well.
Okay.
And so, I think we were effective.
Okay. Now, do you guys, who are some of your STEM partners?
Well, again, we work with Wake Tech. We work with the Science House at NC State. We work with STEM schools, colleges at all of the local universities.
Okay.
There's a program called RTP STEM where basically they bring STEM companies together at job fairs, and they are sort of a liaison between STEM companies in the community. We work very closely with them. And then we also, the companies that we had as sponsors, like GoBear, which is a science technology company over off of Durant Road. They were one of our larger sponsors, and they came out to our games and set up tables and shared what they do with the community in terms of STEM. And then I just think that some of the organizations like the name escapes me. Out in Cary, it's a STEM company that basically provides an after-school program or out-of-school care that is STEM related. Zaniac.
Okay.
And so they partnered with us and gave material and information out for kids in the community. So
okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like you guys have pretty much got your foot in the community right now.
Yeah, I think we at least have our toe into
the things are looking up
hard
for the organization. Now I want to a couple of people. I want to call out a couple of names, and if you can just just say something and how these people help the Raleigh Firebirds and what you guys are currently doing.
Okay.
Robert Brickey, of course.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've said it already, and I can say it over and over again. I don't think that we would have had the success that we had because he not only is a great person, he can coach at a high level.
Yeah.
And he allowed us to do some things with the talent that we created that we just frankly wouldn't have been able to do if we didn't have that caliber of a coach.
Okay. Mitchell Jeffries.
Mr. Jeffries. That name sounds real familiar. Mr. Jeffries. Oh, Mitch. I hope he doesn't. He's not gonna see this, right?
Hey man, hey, it's on YouTube, man. So once I put it up, I hope he see it. I want everybody to see it.
Yeah, Mitchell Jeffries is a young man that works with me out at Raleigh Personal Training. He played basketball at Millbrook High School, and he handles the skill development for our team. And he's a real strong voice for the players. He doesn't mind speaking up. I'm a little more laid back than in that regard. And so he feels that role for us and for Coach Bricky. Make sure the guys are in tip-top shape, making sure that they're eating right, doing the things that they need to do to take care of their bodies. And so he's kind of the head, really he's in charge of player development. I just kind of have the title.
Okay. Yeah. What about Reggie Groves?
Reggie Groves is another young man that does skills training for us. He also has a nonprofit that focuses on health education for youth in our community. I'm very proud of him for that. He can shoot the lights out of basketball. Thinks that he still can play. And we'll probably try to prove that given the opportunity. But he's just really a key player in the success of the Firebirds because he teaches basketball at a high level, and we're trying to develop players.
Okay.
And so if a player comes here and gets better, then we think that it's worth his time being. Reggie's one of those guys that helps us do that.
Okay. 2 more names. DeMarcus Oliver.
Okay, DeMarcus Oliver is he really became the heart and soul of the team.
Okay.
He's almost like a basketball minister, for lack of a better description.
Okay.
But he really, we got to a point in the season where a lot of our games were being held during the week and they were on the road. And initially, when we made our agreement with Coach Bricky and the league, it was an expectation that all of our games were going to be on the weekends. And so, there was times he was missing from work, and so we came to an agreement that to finish out the season, Coach Oliver would do the road games, and Coach Bricky would coach the home games. And so it gave him a chance to really develop a stronger relationship in some cases than Coach Bricky did, because he was on traveling with them, and they were in close proximity in vans. And, he actually did some trips that I wasn't able to go on, that he took the kids and took responsibility for them and made sure they were where they're supposed to be. For him, it was a lot more than just basketball. He was really teaching them about life and how to conduct themselves as young men, and how to rise to the occasion. So he brought out a lot of emotion in the players, and made a big difference. From that perspective, taught them how to look at themselves, hold themselves accountable, things like that.
All right, last name, Mr. Wade Harris.
Wow. I don't know what to say. He loves the Firebirds. He loves the players. He loves his community. Gets up every day with fire in his belly and puts his best foot forward as much as possible. Makes mistakes like everybody, but tries to learn from those mistakes. And really wants to see the Firebirds impact the community and make not only the community, but make a difference in the lives of the young men that have an opportunity to play for the team, and that it's more than basketball for them.
Okay. Yeah. Now, do you guys have? I know it's in the early stages, but do you have any plans on building your own facility down the road? Because I know right now you use the Garner Road.
Yes. Well, we practice at the J.D. Lewis Center and at the Dream Center.
Okay.
And we play our games this past season at Southeast Raleigh High School. And we had great experience with them. The principal, assistant principals, the coaches, the trainer, the head trainer there. We're going to adopt her to be our trainer from now on. And we'd love to take her on the road with us. She's that good. And so we played at Southeast Raleigh. We would love to someday have our own facility, but we want to take one step at a time.
Right.
Sort of walk before we run, kind of thing. And we felt like starting in the high school level would be a good place to start. We do that for a couple of years, and then maybe we can go to one of the local colleges. I mean, I think ideally, if we could play at the Dorton Arena, would be a really good facility for us as a next step. And who knows? You really don't know what the future holds and how big this can be. But I think it has potential to be really big. And it could bring a lot of economic development to the Triangle. A lot of people coming here to see games and spend money in hotels. And, possibly the city of Raleigh might be interested in looking at having a facility, especially if it could double as, a concert hall and, rent it out for meeting rooms and things like of that nature. So
I don't know if do you remember the Raleigh Bullfrogs when they played in Dorton Arena?
Well, I remember hearing about them.
Okay,
I wasn't here
you wasn't around
time.
at that time. Okay,
But I think Coach Monty Tao was the head coach of the Raleigh Bullfrogs, and I played at the University of Florida when Monty Tao was an assistant coach there. So I know that if it didn't succeed, it really had nothing to do with him because he was out there pushing it hard every day. But I heard about the Bullfrogs, and I think that probably if I was looking back at how things went for us this year, some of the high points and low points, if you will. They play at the Dorton Arena, and I can imagine. I remember talking with them about what the cost would be per game, and that had to be a huge issue in terms of profitability or just being able to make it to the next year. And so that's one of the reasons that we pulled away from. We started there, we started at the top and just worked our way.
So you guys actually started playing in the Dorton Arena?
No, we went there and had meetings.
Okay.
Countless meetings.
Yeah.
And we really loved the concept, and emotionally it was the right thing to do. But from a business,
just didn't make sense.
There's just no way that we.
Yeah. Right.
We might would have made it to our third game, and then it would have been shut out the lights.
Yeah. It's a little too much right now.
Yeah.
Me personally, I love the organization. I love what you guys are doing, especially in this area. There's a lot of talented basketball players in the Raleigh area. A lot of guys that fall by the wayside and don't get these opportunities. I think this is a good platform for them, especially if they're trying to get overseas, trying to get to the G League or even the NBA level. And the fact that you guys are closely associated with Coach Bob McKinnon, that makes it a whole lot better. As well as David Magley, because he was I think he was drafted in the first round of the NBA back in the late 70s.
Late first round draft.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely you guys definitely have a good thing going. And I'm definitely excited to see what the future holds for the Raleigh Firebirds. Now real quick, are there the players that you currently have now? You said that you have some that have gone on to play professionally. Have you had any guys to leave to play in Europe?
Well, like I said, Darius Leonard left and went to Argentina.
Okay.
Kenan Palmer left and went to Mexico. And then we had two players just leave at the end of our season and go to Africa.
Okay, but none in Europe.
None in Europe.
Okay.
As of yet.
Okay. All right. Last question, Wade, and I'm gonna let you get out of here, man. I know you're a skill development guy, right? By nature. Oh well, you started off you training. Now and I ask a lot of guys that come on the podcast this question, so I want to get your feedback on it. What's more important, skill development or actually guys getting out there playing? Because now there is an oversaturation of basketball trainers. Which one holds more weight in your estimation? Because now guys don't play anymore. You don't see guys out in the park playing anymore. Right. You don't see guys running up and down the court. Everybody has a trainer.
Right.
So from your estimation, which one holds more weight?
So that's a great question, by the way. But my perspective on skill training is, you have to do skills training exactly the way you're going to play the game. You do the things in skills training that are going to translate to the game. So I see a lot of things on, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube,
right.
A lot of trainers doing a lot of things. And my first question when I see a trainer doing an exercise is, how does that benefit him as a basketball? Does it make him stronger? Sure. Does it make him, be able to do some things? But, how does that translate to basketball? So a lot of the I watched a YouTube video the other day of a kid doing like 7 or 8 moves and then taking a shot. And I got no real problem with that, but we teach guys to do 1, 2, or 3 dribbles. Either you got to move in a shot or get rid of the ball. And so to practice to doing more than that. The other thing is it cuts down the number of repetitions of shots that you're going to get. The more dribbles that you take in practice, the less shots you're going to take. So if you are doing a repetition of 7, 8 dribbles and then a shot, you're not going to get up as many shots.
Right.
As it relates to playing, I think that some guys play too much. They just go to play to be playing. I tell guys, when you play, work on your game. Right? Some guys play to win, which I understand. They go to play pickup. They're trying to go overseas, but they're out there to win. If they're at the J.D. Lewis Center or St. Aug or wherever. But I tell them, if you want to get better, you have to, in the game, be able to work on your game and work on the things that you're weak at. If you're weak on guard and pick and roll, then you need to do that in playing a game setting and do it over and over and over again.
All right.
But I don't think you really have to play every day. But I think you have to shoot the basketball, handle the basketball every day. Whether you have a trainer with you or not important.
Okay.
That's something that you need to do every day. Shoot the ball and handle the basketball. But strength training and a conditioning program, is really underrated and should get probably a lot more attention than it does. I have a lot of guys that love to play. If you want to take them to a skills training facility, which I have a skills training location, they love to go shoot off the gun.
Yeah.
But when it comes to getting in there and getting stronger and building their overall conditioning, they're far and few between, and that's why I think there's a limited number of guys that play in the NBA.
All right, okay, that's good stuff. Now before I let you get out of here, can you let everybody know where to find you guys on social media?
Yes, at Raleigh Firebirds on Instagram and Raleigh Firebirds on Facebook. And if you go to our Instagram page, our contact information in terms of email address and phone number is there. We have a website at RaleighFirebirds.net. So if you go to the website, you can get ticket information. You can email us. We'll communicate right back with you very quickly. And so we're fortunate to have a team of interns from NC State University that help make us look like we're bigger than we really are.
Okay, and, I hear that.
But I really appreciate what they do and how they are helping us move the dial forward.
Okay. Well, Wade, I really appreciate you coming through, man. I would love for you to come back and bring one of your players. I would love to talk to one of your